Did this double dozer really push an insane 48-foot blade? In 1976, Russell & Sons Construction Company out of Longview, Texas, modified one of their two side-by-side Caterpillar D9H sets to build something out of this world. They called it the Double Dude. With a length of 48 feet, the enormous Balderson blade, set at a 45-degree angle, was pushed by the two tractors, offset to each other. A unique rear tie bar had to be specially constructed by the manufacturer. The curvature and angle of the blade was designed to move the most material possible to the side with minimal resistance. In 1977, the Double Dude could move 14,000 cubic yards of overburden per hour. Sadly, the fantastic Double Dude was quickly retired. Facing changes in mining regulations at the time, the design, also applied to a pair of Fiat Alice dozers by Russell, proved too difficult to maneuver while working. What does that tell you when a model is produced for 18 years? Since Caterpillar began producing track-type tractors and bulldozers, no other model has had the longevity and success of the remarkable D6N. Produced for 18 years, this machine is undoubtedly one of CAT's biggest market hits ever. Released in 2002, the Caterpillar D6N was first equipped with the well-proven 3126 engine before being upgraded to a C6.6 and then to a C7.1 Tier 4 final to meet emission regulations. Competing with John Deere's 750 or Komatsu's D51 in size and specs, the CAT D6N, usually equipped with a 6-way blade, is the perfect fit for countless applications including heavy construction, quarry tasks, or even farming. In 2020, Caterpillar discontinued the superb D6N, which was replaced by the D5, losing the power shift for a fully automatic transmission, which I'm sure many of you don't see as an upgrade at all. This is the story of a man and his Caterpillar D5 dozers. This is Freddie Bowe, a remarkable man who's been operating his Caterpillar D5 dozers for 50 years. He honed his skills in eastern Kentucky, building roads, pads, and delivering some of the finest grade work you could ever ask for. Freddie has had two of those D5s, a 1968 and a 1972 model, which he liked much better than the B, released in 1977. Hard to disagree with that, knowing how amazing the 96J units were. First released in 1939 with only 46 units built, the Caterpillar D5 was reintroduced to market in 1967. It was upgraded one more time in 1972, this time boasting a significant 105 horsepower. Proudly nicknamed the General, Freddie enjoys spending time with his son Tim watching these videos. So, purely out of respect, I wanted to show you guys what a true master operator looks like. Hats off to you, sir.
Cat D7s. Junk.
So do you agree with that statement? In 2020, Caterpillar released the D7 Dozer, a mid-size machine designed to replace the successful D7E first released in 2009, and notable for being the first electrically driven dozer in Caterpillar's lineup. Selling for $700,000, the new D7 features an elevated sprocket and is powered by a C9.3B engine rated at 265 horsepower. It weighs 66,000 pounds or 30 metric tons. Equipped with a fully automatic 4-speed transmission, the D7 has an estimated hourly fuel cost of approximately $50 and can move up to 8% more material per hour than its predecessor, according to CAT. Now, with all that being said, the machine seems far from being perfect, as reported a few days ago by excellent channel Excavation Life, who mentioned in a video how terrible lift cylinders are on that dozer, leading to a lot of downtime. So do you agree with that statement? I'll bet you $5,000 you didn't know these things about Caterpillar dozers. Caterpillar didn't sell a complete bulldozer, meaning an in-house tractor mounted with an in-house blade, until 1945. Before that, the company made crawler tractors only, and blades were supplied by companies like Letourneau. During World War II, over 51,000 Caterpillar track-type tractors were used by the Allies. They cleared jungle in the Pacific, built roads all over Europe, and even towed artillery and aircraft on makeshift runways. Did you know that the track-laying system of Caterpillar crawlers directly influenced the development of early tanks in World War I? The British and French spent a lot of time studying Holt's designs as they prototyped armored vehicles. While it's still unclear what the D officially stands for in Caterpillar's model names, It definitely doesn't mean dozer. The D series began in the early 1930s with diesel-powered crawler tractors, long before the term dozer was even in common use. This is a Caterpillar D11, and this is how much it costs to run it hourly and yearly. The D11 is one of the largest and most productive bulldozers ever produced. First released by Caterpillar in 1986, the well-proven machine comes at a cost of just around $3 million, but it's definitely not what matters the most. Running a D11 will cost you between $80 and $120 per hour in fuel alone. The combined expenses of fuel and operator wages constitute approximately 80% of the operational cost. Including basic preventive maintenance, a Caterpillar D11 dozer will cost its owner about $280,000 annually, on the low end, when that cost will be close to $600,000 for the same machine used in the most extreme conditions. So I get it. This sounds like a whole lot of cash for one dozer only, but just remember one thing. In the right hands, the more fuel you burn, the more work gets accomplished as more material gets pushed. The world wouldn't be the same without Cat's D8 dozer. The Caterpillar D8 was first released in 1935, and it featured a gasoline engine, which translated to relatively low power compared to modern standards. But that didn't last long. Caterpillar quickly introduced the D88R with a diesel engine, which significantly improved power and efficiency. This led to modern models such as the D8R, the D8T, or the D8N. The Cat D8 series has been used in a wide range of applications, including earth-moving, construction, mining, forestry, and agriculture. It's known for its versatility and adaptability to various tasks. With a weight of 36 tons and a blade capacity of just about 9 cubic meters, the new version of the D8 keeps the legacy intact. It's fair to say this dozer is the ultimate classic. Well, don't worry, Sandra, I got you. Let's talk about it. In 1963, Caterpillar introduced the D6C as an upgrade to the D6B model, released in 1959, even though the latter remained in Cat's catalog until 1967, along with the new edition. Powered by Caterpillar's 3306 diesel engine rated between 120 for the early models to 140 horsepower, the D6C had an operating weight of 33,000 pounds or 15 metric tons. Equipped with air conditioning, a rare feature back in the day, the D6C went through minor upgrades in 1968 and 1972, but it essentially remained the same highly reliable machine for well over a decade. In 1977, the D6C was discontinued and was replaced by the D6D model, which remained in Cat's lineup until 1986. Often overlooked, this track-type tractor definitely gained its spot amongst Caterpillar's finest earth movers. And that's how it all began. In 1954, Caterpillar produced the D9X, a prototype version of what would become the official D9D 1 year later. And the release of this machine would change the world of heavy construction and mining forever. With an operating weight of 72,000 pounds or 33 metric tons with a U-blade, the D9D was equipped with Caterpillar's D353 diesel engine that produced 286 horsepower. In 1959, an improved D9E series was released with new power ratings of 335 horsepower. In 1961, the D9E was once again upgraded to the popular D9G series. For the past 7 decades, the Caterpillar D9 has set the standard against which all other dozers are judged, and the wonderful D9D set the pace for this global success. Let's not forget this incredible piece of iron. This is the myth, the legend, the amazing Caterpillar D9T. In 1996, Caterpillar released the famous D9R, and 8 years later, in 2004, time had come for the American manufacturer to unveil an upgraded version of the dozer, the D9T, which would remain in Cat's lineup for 16 years. The main difference between the T and the R version was the installment of the new Cat C18 engine versus the 3408 in the D9R. The T also featured differential steering, an upgrade from clutch and brake steering. Rated at 436 horsepower, the Cat D9T was equipped with a U-blade able to push close to 21.5 cubic yards at a time, or 16 cubic meters. The machine had an operating weight of 106,000 pounds, or 48 metric tons. As legendary as it gets, the highly modern D9T was discontinued in 2020 when it was replaced by the next generation D9 model, which essentially kept most of the D9T's features intact. So what do we know about the Caterpillar D12? So every time a video gets posted about the Caterpillar D11 Dozer, the comment section fills up with people asking about the D12. While some think it's on the way, others are convinced we'll never see one. Here's what we know. The only D12s that ever existed are in Australia. They're unofficial D12s since the company Mearns Hire completely customized a pair of D11s to achieve that result. Caterpillar has never been involved in this amazing project. A few years ago, some people reported on the internet that Cat was testing two D12 prototypes in Canada's oil sands. This was fake news, just as fake as the reports claiming that Caterpillar had tested some D12s in Australia back in the early 2000s. The truth is, there's currently no need for a D12, which would involve substantial engineering challenges. The same challenges faced by Komatsu with their old and famous D575. There's no D12 on the way, guys. This is the story of a stunning piece of iron. In 1987, Caterpillar introduced a new dozer, the almighty D10N. The machine was not the follow-up to the D10, but was in fact the upgraded D9L model. If you think this is confusing, that's because it is. The D10N was powered by a Cat 3412 diesel engine rated at 520 horsepower. The stunning piece of iron had a weight of 149,000 pounds or 68 metric tons, including the ripper. The width of its U-blade was just about 17 feet, with an earth-moving capacity of 29 cubic yards. The dozer was well liked in the mining industry despite the release of the D11N in 1986. In 1996, the beautiful Caterpillar D10N disappeared from the manufacturer's catalog and got replaced by the D10R model. Many D10N dozers are still running today, almost 40 years after its official release. So why did Caterpillar get rid of its Challenger line? Here's what happened. In 1986, Caterpillar introduced the Challenger 65, the brand's very first rubber-belted tractor. Seen as a significant milestone in Cat's history, the line would end up being surprisingly short-lived. But why? Constant and costly work in progress for Cat, the unique-looking Challenger tractors faced immediate trouble in a sluggish market, as an economic downturn had already sharply reduced demand and cut into the brand's profits when the line launched. Struggling bad, Caterpillar quickly recognized that its dealer network wasn't well suited for marketing to farmers. By the 1990s, it was clear that competing with well-established brands like Deere and Case would be an impossible battle. Too expensive to develop and way too difficult to market in a highly competitive sector, the entire Challenger line of rubber-belted tractors was sold to AGCO in 2002, only 16 years after the 65 model was introduced to market. That's one of the most important Caterpillar machines ever, right? In 1938, Caterpillar released the D2, a crawler tractor powered by a D3400 engine, which was the smallest diesel Cat had made to that time. And this machine helped cement Caterpillar into history. With a top speed of 5.1 miles per hour, the Caterpillar D2 was available in many factory variations. The tractor was so versatile it could be seen on farms, in orchards and vineyards, logging, and on construction sites. Easy to transport, the D2 was upgraded to the U version in 1947, this time boasting Cat's new D311 diesel engine, which led to an increased drawbar power and a maximum drawbar pull improved by 18%. After going through another major makeover in 1953, the Caterpillar D2 was discontinued in 1957. It has since become an absolute collector's favorite. Many farmers still use it today, 86 years after its market release. This thing sold for $238,000 back in 1998. Built since the late 1980s, Caterpillar's Challenger tractors were developed with one goal: solving the problem of steel-tracked crawlers and move away from them for agricultural applications due to the transport issues. The most powerful unit ever released by CAT was the Challenger 95E, introduced in 1997, a 410 horsepower machine part of a line of tractors which included models such as the 85E, 75E, or 65E. The clever special application drive wheel on the 95E featured tapered drive slots between drive elements, allowing mud and debris to extrude through the wheel, eliminating slippage in most sloppy and muddy field conditions. Marketed in Europe as Klaus since 1997, the entire Challenger track tractor business was sold in 2002, exactly 1 year after the 95E model was discontinued by the American manufacturer. This is the most important track-type tractor design ever. In 1919, CL Best introduced the 60 track layer, a track-type tractor that happened to be the largest of its era. After the merger between Best and Benjamin Holt, the machine would later become the Caterpillar 60. Instantly popular, the 60 was part of the construction of the Hoover Dam in the western United States and even participated in the construction of the original Hollywood sign. The tractor's lineage is directly linked to the Cat D8 Dozer. The most famous 60 out there was definitely Old Tusco, a diesel unit powered by a Cat D 9900 rated at 79 horsepower that would set records in 1932 for non-stop plowing achievements in Arlington, Oregon. 1 century after the very first 60 was built, most agree that the machine remains the most important track-type tractor design ever produced by Caterpillar, making it one of the most collectible machines in the world today. Well, that's not just a machine, that's a piece of American history. The 22 was a track-type tractor released by Caterpillar in 1934 and produced all the way through 1939. Designed as a replacement to the 20 model, the machine is now a symbol of Caterpillar's glorious beginnings. Manufactured at the East Peoria plant, the 22 had a weight of 6,150 pounds or 2.8 metric tons. It was powered by a 4-cylinder engine rated at just about 30 horsepower with a 3-speed transmission. The fantastic 22 was perfectly suited for logging, farming, construction, and road work, and it could be paired with the Caterpillar 22 grader, as well as half-yard rollover scrapers or small bulldozers built by third parties. Available as a standard 40-inch gauge or a wide 50-inch gauge, the Caterpillar 22 was sold for $1,500 at the time, the equivalent of $35,000 today. 15,000 of these were built. Sometimes Caterpillar makes a boo-boo. That was one of them. In 2009, American giant Caterpillar announced the upcoming production of vocational trucks. 2 years later, the brand launched the CT660 in collaboration with Navistar for the product's design and build. Caterpillar's offering then expanded to a full lineup of trucks, but the yellow brand quickly faced backlash from customers who were reporting major engine problems, bad cab design, poor traction, as well as global dependability issues. But well decided to move forward in this competitive business, CAT announced in 2015 it would soon start producing its vocational truck products at the Caterpillar plant in Victoria, Texas. But that was before a major twist happened. In 2016, Caterpillar announced the end of its on-highway trucks and specified it would require too much capital to develop new products. Truth is, between 2011 and 2016, CAT only sold 1,000 trucks annually. Oh, for God's sake, stop scrolling and watch this. Caterpillar unveiled the 795F back in 2009. Designed to fill the gap between the highly popular 793 and the 797, the 795 was, in many ways, quite a milestone for the American manufacturer. With a payload capacity of 345 tons, the truck allowed Caterpillar to enter a new size class. The 795F was CAT's first attempt at producing a high-capacity AC electric drive truck. Equipped with a 3,400 horsepower C175 diesel engine, the 795 helped CAT to develop other trucks, such as the 794, 796, all unveiled in 2016 and 2018. While not known as a long-lasting machine in Caterpillar's lineup, the 795F is, in many ways, one of CAT's most important trucks from the past 2 decades. Another stunning piece of iron by the American giant. So who remembers this weird-looking truck? In 1996, Caterpillar unveiled its new articulated dump truck, the D400E, on a market highly dominated by Volvo at the time. Featuring a unique design, the machine quickly became a global hit. With an empty weight of 29 tons, the Caterpillar D400E had a payload capacity of just about 36 metric tons, or 79,000 pounds, and its hull had a volume of just about 30 cubic yards. Also commonly named a rock truck, the D400E was powered with Caterpillar's 3406 engine, a power plant that developed a maximum of 350 horsepower, or 298 kilowatts. In 2001, Caterpillar discontinued the truck and got rid of the unique design. Replaced by the 740, the D400E is now remembered as some old iron straight out of CAT's golden catalog from the 90s. Here's an engineering marvel, the CAT 789. The beautiful Caterpillar 789 was released in the 80s and has since remained a steady success for the manufacturer, which has been constantly upgrading the legendary mining truck over the past 35 years or so. It's specs time, guys. With an empty weight of 121 metric tons, the 789 has a payload of 193 tons, or 213 US tons. It has a gross weight of 324 metric tons. The very last version of this beast, the 789 with no letters after the number, is equipped with Caterpillar's 3516E engine that develops a maximum power of 2100 horsepower. A truly remarkable motor. Ultimate mining classic, the 789 haul truck is by far one of Caterpillar's most achieved machines ever. This engineering marvel can be spotted on hundreds of operations worldwide, and there's a reason to that. Here's the story of the Caterpillar 773. The Caterpillar 773 was introduced to market in 1970, and it was designed to be the 769's big brother. The 773 became an instant success in the earth-moving world, hence why it's still here today. This dump truck has an operating weight of 38 metric tons, and it has a payload capacity of just about 55 metric tons, aka 61 US tons. It is by far one of the best off-road trucks out there. Over the years, the 773 got upgraded through countless versions such as the 73B, 73D, 73E, and so on. The 773G is the current model in CAT's catalog. With a top speed of 42 miles per hour, the Caterpillar 773 is a pure staple, and it's fair to say that this truck will remain in CAT's lineup for the next decades to come. What do you guys think about this truck? This is the most important machine in Caterpillar's history, right? In the mid-1950s, Caterpillar started working on a special project, engineering a haul truck designed for construction and quarry industries. After years of development and 4 pilot designs tested throughout the late 50s, the 769 was born. Caterpillar's very first truck ever, the 769 was introduced in 1962, with the first units being commercially produced in early '63. The first truck was shipped from the factory in May the same year. Powered by a D343 engine rated at 375 horsepower, the 769 had a capacity of 35 tons. It featured a pneumatic oil suspension system, making it the most comfortable heavy-duty truck of its time. Pure revolution and selling by the dozen in the early 1960s, the 769 began CAT's journey to becoming one of the biggest names in heavy machinery. The machine was upgraded to the B version in 1966. I give you 15,000 bucks or this. What do you pick? Introduced to market in the mid-1980s, the Caterpillar IT-28B, IT standing for Integrated Tool Carrier, is a legendary piece of iron combining the features of a wheel loader with a tool handling system designed for versatility. Rated at 116 horsepower through a 3204 power plant, the IT-28B could be purchased with over 100 different working tools when it came out, covering a wide range of applications in construction or farming. With an operating weight of 24,478 pounds, the 28B could be fitted with buckets ranging from 1.5 to 4.5 cubic yards, the equivalent of 1.2 to 3.5 cubic meters. Produced for close to a full decade, the Caterpillar IT-28B remains an incredible piece of equipment today, still selling for about $15,000 for a working unit. So who still runs one of these? Let me know in the comments. Here's the story of a beautiful success story. Caterpillar's 963 is a track loader that first came out in the early 80s. It is by far one of the most successful track loaders in the world thanks to its incredible versatility. But let's go through the usual specs. With an operating weight of 20 metric tons or 44,000 pounds, the crawler loader can be equipped with a bucket of 3.7 cubic yards of maximum capacity. The new version runs with Cat's C 7.1 engine. The 963B met an incredible success when it came out, back in the mid-80s. It was replaced in year 2000 by the 963C, which featured a new computerized monitoring system and speed mode switch. Updates remained minimal since Caterpillar introduced the 963D in 2007. In 2020, the 963 crawler loader replaced the 963K with up to 10% better fuel efficiency. So who runs one of these? Don't tell me this wasn't inspired by our beloved Marvin Heemeyer. This is the Rook, a mission-ready armored machine that's been supporting police departments for over 10 years all across the United States. It was commissioned to apprehend suspects, aid rescues, and even clear vehicles stuck in snow. Originally built by Florida Caterpillar dealer Ring Power, the Dozer-style track loader can be equipped with a hydraulic breaching ram, powerful enough to break through block walls, steel-reinforced doors, concrete, and even burglar-barred windows. The Rook seats 4 officers and comes armed with 2 locking gun ports, 6 sliding ports, bulletproof glass, and wireless front cameras sending live video to the operator. It's also used by bomb squads to safely get close to potential threats. Deployed a couple times during standoffs the past few years, the Rook has 4,500 pounds of lifting capacity and can remove fortified doors, burglar bars, or shrubbery when equipped with a grapple claw. Marvin would be proud. So would you take a Cat or a Bobcat compact track loader? In 2001, Caterpillar introduced their first line of compact track loaders, marketed towards smaller contractors and the profitable equipment rental marketplace. 24 years later, the brand is one of the leaders in the industry. The first models ever released were the 277 and the 287 units, designed to offer superior traction compared to skid steer loaders while maintaining the versatility and maneuverability needed for various construction tasks. In 2003, the American manufacturer upgraded the successful track loaders to the B versions. These remained in Caterpillar's catalog until 2007, when the brand unveiled the C models, which came with the newly added 297C. Model after model, Caterpillar quickly rose to dominate the booming segment. The company is now standing neck and neck with Bobcat in the US market, each holding a 21% share of total sales. So Cat or Bobcat? Let's take a minute to appreciate this machine. Caterpillar's 992 is considered one of the greatest large wheel loader designs ever produced. This was proven right in 1996, when Cat released the most legendary model in the series, the 992G. Replacing the 992D released in 1992, the 992G was first introduced at Mine Expo in Las Vegas, this time boasting Cat's 3508B diesel engine rated at 800 flywheel horsepower. The most unique feature was the one-piece box section front lift arm, said to spread the stress from the bucket tip over the full length of the boom, rather than concentrating it on the weld point in the center of a 2-arm design. With an operating weight of 101 tons, the 16-yard Caterpillar 992G stayed in the lineup for a decade, before being discontinued in 2007. This is the definition of an industry's classic. So who got a chance to run one yet? Let me know in the comments. Unveiled less than 5 years ago and considered a next-generation machine, the Caterpillar 306CR quickly went from a new offering in CAT's lineup to one of the most popular mini excavators ever produced by the American manufacturer. Marking CAT's entry into the 6-ton class, the 306 is powered by a C2.4 turbo diesel engine, rated at right around 56 horsepower, and the machine can dig at a maximum depth of 13.5 feet. Competing with machines such as the Deere 60 or the Case CX60C, the Caterpillar 306CR clearly made a statement since its introduction. It comes with a price tag well above $100,000. Designed and built as tough as it gets for a machine of this class, the 306CR's upper and lower frames, track frames, boom and stick were modeled after its larger counterparts for long-term durability. So who got a chance to run one yet? The 235 is such a staple. The CAT 235 is an old excavator that was introduced to market in 1973 and that remained in production until 1986. Long gone, this machine is still, to this day, an absolute staple. With an operating weight of 38 metric tons, or 84,000 pounds, the 235 was equipped with the manufacturer's 3306 engine that developed up to 195 horsepower, or 145 kilowatts. Incredibly successful worldwide, the 235 got upgraded many times over the years through versions such as the 235B, 235C, and 235D. It had a bucket of 1.12 cubic meters of maximum capacity. In the early 90s, Caterpillar's 200 series left place to the 300 series. The 235 disappeared, but it left behind it a solid reputation for being one of the most reliable excavators ever made. This is the biggest hydraulic excavator ever built. This is the Caterpillar 6090FS. This gigantic excavator, originally designed and produced by O&K under the reference RH400, is the largest hydraulic excavator ever made. With an operating weight of just about 1,000 metric tons, the 6090FS can be equipped with a bucket of 52 cubic meters of maximum capacity, the equivalent of 68 cubic yards. It moves 103 tons in one scoop. While the operator sits 28 feet above the ground, the 6090FS runs thanks to two Cummins engines that develop a total of 4,500 horsepower, and it takes a 4,000-gallon fuel tank to keep it running. A few years ago, Caterpillar discontinued the 6090FS, which was only produced in shovel configuration. Very few of them are still running today. A sublime engineering marvel that will soon disappear forever. Let's talk about the CAT 349. Caterpillar's next-generation 349 was introduced to market in 2020 after the excavator met an incredible international success through its past versions, such as 349E or 349F. With an operating weight of 105,000 pounds or 47 metric tons, the 349 has a maximum digging depth of 25 feet and a maximum bucket capacity of 4 cubic yards, just about 3 cubic meters. The 349 runs with Caterpillar's C13 engine, which develops 425 horsepower. The digger has a new high-efficiency hydraulic fan that cools the engine on demand to help reduce fuel consumption. 3 years after its official market release, the 349 is once again an international hit. But is it as good as the previous models? You guys let me know what you think. Share your feedback now. How much would you pay for a 315B in 2024? Following the introduction of the 315 in 1994, Caterpillar released in 1998 the 315B, a mid-size excavator sporting a design similar to the 345B and such, a personal favorite of mine. Primarily designed for construction tasks, the Caterpillar 315B was also very well suited for farm use thanks to its perfect size. Not too big and not too small, just enough to get plenty of work done around the property. Powered by a 3054 engine rated at 113 horsepower, the machine had an operating weight between 16.7 and 17.8 metric tons, with bucket capacities up to 0.88 cubic yards. In the early 2000s, the 315B was upgraded to the C model, sporting the new rounder design, just a little bit less tasty in my opinion. You can buy a 315B these days for less than 30 grand, just so you know. This machine is Caterpillar's biggest disaster ever. The 5230 was a mining excavator released by Caterpillar in 1994. It was, back then, the largest hydraulic excavator ever released by the manufacturer. Let's go through some more data about this beautiful iron. With an operating weight of 316 metric tons, the 5230 carried a 20 cubic yard general purpose bucket, but it also had an optional 31 cubic yard bucket, specifically designed for coal mining. Ideally suited to load trucks in the 150 to 200 ton capacity class, the digger ran thanks to Caterpillar's 3516 diesel engine that produced a maximum of 1470 horsepower. Unfortunately, the Caterpillar 5230 never met a global success. The 5000 series of shovels is remembered today as probably the biggest disaster Cat ever had on their hands. You guys talk about it in the comments. So what do you guys think of the legendary Caterpillar 336? The Caterpillar 336 is a popular heavy-duty excavator that has been around since the late 1980s, and that's since gained the reputation for being one of the most reliable and durable machines out there. With an operating weight of 37 metric tons, the 336 can be equipped with a bucket of 2.12 cubic meters of maximum capacity. It carries a diesel engine that develops up to 300 horsepower. Extremely popular on the US market, the 336 also shines internationally, where it directly competes with machines such as the Liebherr 936 or the Komatsu PC 360. I know some of you guys have a lot of experience on this machine according to the comments I read on the channel. So now is your time to tell us what you really think about this excavator. Comment down below. So you want to buy or rent a 323? Let's see how much that costs. Labeled as a medium excavator, the Caterpillar 323 is one of the most popular diggers in the segment. But there's a lot of data you need to know about before you decide to buy one, or simply rent one for one of your projects. Here's what I mean. Brand new, a Caterpillar 323 will cost you right around 280,000 US dollars, which translates to $12,000 per ton. Too much for you? Let's see how much it is to rent it for a day or more. According to boomandbucket.com, the average daily rental price of a Cat 323 is set at 1,000 US dollars, when you'll need to spend 2,800 bucks to rent the machine for a week. Hefty as an individual, pretty fair for a contractor. As an owner and excluding fuel and operators' wages, the 323 has a maintenance cost per hour right around $20, which translates to an average monthly maintenance cost of $1,700. It's time to talk about Cat 6060. The Caterpillar 6060 is a mining excavator which currently stands as the biggest mining excavator in Cat's catalog after the 6090 FS got discontinued a few years ago. With an operating weight of 599 metric tons, the 6060 carries a bucket that can easily fit up to 34 cubic meters of material. It was designed to compete with Liebherr's 996 or Komatsu's PC 5500. The 6060 is not an original design by Caterpillar. Underneath the yellow paint sits an O&K/T-Rex RH340. This is the result of Cat buying out the T-Rex group many moons ago. So, who's operating or working around one of these? Tell me how you guys like it or hate it. Leave your comments down below. This is the Caterpillar 345B excavator. This machine was introduced to market in 1998, and this monster of reliability is now considered an old classic machine. Let's go through some good old specs. The 345B had an operating weight of 94,000 pounds or 43 metric tons. It could be equipped with a bucket of 2.3 cubic yards of maximum capacity, the equivalent of 2 cubic meters. Available in many different configurations ranging from demolition to wood handling, The 345B was equipped with Caterpillar's 3176 engine that developed up to 290 horsepower. Replaced by the 345C after many years of good service, the Caterpillar 345B is by far one of the most achieved machines ever released by the brand. It's also by far one of my personal favorites. Let's talk about an old classic, the Caterpillar 245 ME. The Cat 245 was offered by the manufacturer from the late 70s all the way through the early 90s. Also labeled as a mass excavator, the 245 is still known today as an indestructible piece of iron. With an operating weight up to 145,000 pounds or 65 metric tons, the 245 came with a bucket of 6.75 cubic yards of maximum capacity, the equivalent of 4.5 cubic meters. The ME version was provided with a stick which was 42% heavier than the standard one. It also came with a larger bucket cylinder to provide higher breakout forces when working in dense materials. The 245 ME capitalized on a Cat 3406 diesel that developed 325 horsepower. Absolute beast in its category, this excavator survived the decades with pride. Many of them are still running today. So would you call this the most legendary scraper ever? Scrapers worked non-stop since 1922, but we had to wait until 1962 for Caterpillar to release what would become the king of all scrapers, the almighty 657. And that thing is quite the engineering marvel. Known as the largest scraper in production, the tandem engine-powered 657 can scrape, dig, load, carry, and dump 44 cubic yards, or 33 cubic meters, of soil in one pass. This is power personified. The Caterpillar 657 is equipped with a reinforced steel blade, also called the cutting edge, that's 2.5 inches thick. Fun fact, this blade will need to be replaced every 400 to 500 working hours. Perfectly suited for push-pull operations, the Cat 657 got upgraded many times over the past 60 years, but it essentially remained the same beautifully designed machine. So would you call this the most legendary scraper ever? Would you call this great genius or simply pointless? You tell me. The MT450T, built by Mobile Track Solutions in Iowa, is a Caterpillar 740 articulated truck platform completely customized by the company to end up with a crazy-looking tow tractor best paired with Mobile Track's MT35 scraper. To achieve such an amazing result, the 740's box and hydraulics are removed. Then in Mobile Track Solutions' hitch plate adapter, tracks, and scraper hydraulics and electronics are installed. A stunning example of crazy engineering. The MT450T setup travels at speeds up to 16 miles per hour with a full load, and the tractor-scraper combo was designed to move up to 4,000 cubic yards of dirt over a regular 10-hour day, and optional rubber shoes were available. The 450T hit the market back in 2013, and only a handful of these were made over the years, while Mobile Track Solutions kept developing crazy earth-moving tools, including tracked construction-grade tractors. Well, you're about to see a hell of a machine again. Did you get it? In 1962, Caterpillar unveiled the 666 along with a raft of other machines, part of the 600 series of motor scrapers, which included models such as the 641 or the even more famous 660. Designed as the largest production twin-engine motor scraper ever, the 3-axle 666 was boasting a whopping 54 cubic yard heaped bowl. It was mainly developed for heavy open-cast mining applications. Originally powered by a 450 horsepower V8 diesel engine and a 335 horsepower power plant fitted in the scraper, the 666 was then upgraded to the B model in 1969. The 666B featured Caterpillar's 8-speed semi-automatic transmission, while the early version ran with a 9-speed power shift transmission. In 1978, the motor scraper was officially discontinued. Did you know this about the Caterpillar 120G motor grader? The 120G is a classic motor grader originally released in the mid-1970s. By far the most popular model at the time, the The sublime 120G can be purchased at auction today for $30,000 or less on average. Obviously looking outdated now, the Caterpillar 120G was a beast of technology back in the day, featuring a climate-controlled enclosed cab, a 12-speed power shift transmission, and an innovative load-sensing hydraulic system. The successful 120G could be equipped with a 12-foot blade equivalent to 3.6 meters and was powered with a 3304 engine that could also be found in the 215 Excavator released around the same time. The 120G sold like hotcakes and paved the way for its successor, the 120H, which debuted in 1995 alongside other machines bearing the H designation. Motor grader lovers, it's time to talk about the Cat 16. The Caterpillar 16 is a famous motor grader that was first introduced to market in 1963. Over the decades, the 16 got massively upgraded, and it is now known as one of the most elaborate machines out there. The newest version of this grader roars thanks to a 290 horsepower engine, and it carries a 16 feet wide blade designed for road grading, shaping shoulders, slopes, ditches, and more. One of the most famous models is the 16M, which hit the market by storm when it first came out. This was by far the most successful models out there, with a price tag over $1 million. The Caterpillar 16 is now a classic machine, and it's safe to say it's not going anywhere. So who operates one of these? Let me know in the comments. These Caterpillars were game changers when they came out, would you agree? In 1974, the D9H replaced the D9G. The Dozer continued the success story firmly established by its predecessor to the point it's still known today as the best low-sprocket drive dozer ever built. In 1969, Caterpillar released a gigantic market hit, the 613. Known as the most successful scraper ever produced, the machine was in continuous production up to 2010 over 5 different iterations. The famous 16H grader was released in 1994 as a replacement to the 16G, introduced to market in 1973. The machine dominated the market before being replaced 12 years after its release. In the mid-1990s, Caterpillar introduced the 345B hydraulic excavator. Released together with the 350 model, the 45B quickly became the absolute standard in the 40 to 50 ton range. There are so many things you don't know about Caterpillar, including these. Since 1977, Caterpillar has produced nearly 200,000 dozers featuring the elevated sprocket, better known as the high drive, making it the most successful crawler tractor design in machinery history. Did you know many parts are built with intentional overcapacity? Caterpillar deliberately over-engineers components like loader arms or undercarriage parts, so they outlast the rest of the machine, ensuring failures occur in easier-to-replace areas. Caterpillar uses in-house simulation tools, beyond what's available commercially, able to simulate decades of machine stress, wear, and load cycles in a matter of hours or days. This is also known as a predictive modeling system. Caterpillar runs several classified proving grounds where experimental technologies are tested, most of which never reach production. They exist primarily to collect engineering data, validate new concepts, and support future patent filings. Imagine the amount of work Marv Heemeyer could have done with these. Since the 1940s and World War II, Caterpillar provides a large amount of heavy machines to the U.S. military, and one piece of iron in particular has been a government's favorite for many years, the 120M motor grader. In 2011, it was announced that more than 1,000 of these motor graders will be delivered to the U.S. Army, with the goal to replace the aging fleet of Caterpillar 130G graders in service for more than 30 years. And here's another U.S. Army staple, the D7 bulldozer. Massively adopted by the U.S. military, approximately 10,000 units of the 7 series were produced and entered service between 1940 and 1944. The D7E was first introduced in 2008 and replaced in production the previous D7R Series 2. Currently, CAT military products are offered by a subsidiary Caterpillar Defense and Federal Products Company. And this is why Caterpillar could disappear one day. As Caterpillar recently celebrated their 100th anniversary, it's pretty much impossible to imagine a world without the legendary yellow brand, right? But how likely is it for CAT to disappear? Do you think it's impossible? Maybe not. If Caterpillar fails to adapt to electric, autonomous, or AI-driven machinery, while competitors like Volvo, Komatsu, or Hitachi succeed, the brand could badly suffer. Right now, Caterpillar is a leader in the field, especially in mining, but not necessarily the most advanced across all equipment sectors. This could become an issue in the future. As Chinese manufacturers continue to gain global market share, the possibility of a major corporate buyout is never completely off the table. If Caterpillar were ever acquired and broken up by a larger conglomerate or private equity firm, the iconic CAT name could be retired, just as we've seen happen to other once legendary brands. Is that likely today? No. Is it possible down the road? Absolutely. Imagine a world without Caterpillar. What would it look like? A world without Caterpillar would mean delayed progress in track-type tractors, slowing advancements in construction and leaving tasks labor-intensive until similar technology eventually emerged. Not something we want to think about. And speaking of that, can you truly imagine a world without the high drive system? This groundbreaking invention revolutionized modern bulldozers, boosting productivity and pushing the boundaries of earth moving across multiple industries. A world without Caterpillar means graders would surely look different today. When CAT introduced the world's first true motor grader in 1931, it not only revolutionized road construction and land leveling, but also set the standard in grading technology. Imagine a mining world without the Caterpillar 797, the very first ultra-class haul truck. When it was unveiled in 1998, the massive truck opened the door to a whole new class of trucks, now imitated by several key manufacturers out there. These Caterpillars were game changers when they came out, would you agree? In 1974, the D9H replaced the D9G. The Dozer continued the success story firmly established by its predecessor to the point it's still known today as the best low-sprocket drive dozer ever built. In 1969, Caterpillar released a gigantic market hit, the 613. Known as the most successful scraper ever produced, the machine was in continuous production up to 2010 over 5 different iterations. The famous 16H grader was released in 1994 as a replacement to the 16G, introduced to market in 1973. The machine dominated the market before being replaced 12 years after its release. In the mid-1990s, Caterpillar introduced the 345B hydraulic excavator. Released together with the 350 model, the 45B quickly became the absolute standard in the 40 to 50-ton range. So why is Caterpillar named Caterpillar? That's the story behind it. From the late 1890s, Benjamin Holt was looking for ways to improve the performance of steam tractors. And in 1904, Holt came up with the very first successful track-type tractor prototype. But that's only the beginning of the story. During a demonstration in England the same year, a British soldier admiring the invention approached Holt and told him, "Your machine moves like a caterpillar." This would be the start of something that would change the world forever. Recognizing the marketing potential of the name, Holt began referring to his crawler tractors as Caterpillar tractors. The name quickly caught on and became synonymous with the machines, as two men were about to make history. In 1925, Holt Manufacturing Company merged with the CL Best Tractor Company, and when time came to pick a name, nothing sounded better than Caterpillar. And so a random name in a dictionary simply became the largest machinery brand ever.